Hello guys and welcome to my channel. Children's media today, light-hearted with a moral backstory with age-appropriate themes, but sometimes on the brink of being nauseating and repetitive, like these little Now let's go back to a time when children's media had elements of horror, grotesque humour and even violence. Rabbits, sweet, cute and the most gentle creatures to roam the earth. I vividly remember watching the film that features cartoon rabbits around my grandparents' house. It was a harrowing tale of survival, freedom, and self governance, with deep themes of community and resilience, paired with the rabbits of facing real threats of violence, oppression, and even death. The film also explores the ideas of leadership and loyalty as they struggle to establish a new safe haven, free from tyrannical rule. It's a story about resilience and fighting for a better life, a surprisingly philosophical and moving narrative about the cost of freedom. However, Watership Down is infamous for more than just its plot, and considering it's a children's film, it's also packed with nightmarish imagery, especially for younger audiences. Moments of brutal violence, rabbits attacking each other in bloody fights, deadly encounters with predators, and intense visions of fear are presented in an unflinchingly raw and unrealistic way. Some scenes are genuinely haunting, with rabbits screaming in fear or covered in blood as they battle to survive. It's horror disguised as a cartoon, leaving adults to believe it's a gentle story about animals, only to be traumatized by scenes that felt like pure nightmare fuel. Not so cute anymore. And the strangest part? Despite these intense visuals and very adult themes, Watership Down was originally rated U, and still is, meaning it's supposedly suitable for all ages. A U rating? This is one of those cases where animation led audiences to assume it was just for kids, when in reality, it's a profound, complex, and occasionally horrifying story that can leave a lasting impression, even on adults. Watching it as a child felt like stepping into an eerie, darker world that seemed to break the usual rules of what was appropriate for kids' media. And that contrast between cute animation and brutal content made it all the more memorable and unsettling. Okay, so I've talked about violence in children's media, but one topic that's not usually discussed is the use of body horror in children's media and could be just as terrifying as violence in children's media. Few places showcase this more vividly than in certain live action Pinocchio adaptations, particularly the 1996 The Adventures of Pinocchio and its 1999 sequel, The New Adventures of Pinocchio. Most people are familiar with the unsettling scene in the original story where the boys are transformed into donkeys, but these films take things even more further. In The Adventures of Pinocchio, the iconic transformation scene is hauntingly vivid, and it struck a deep chord of fear and confusion in me as a child. But The New Adventures of Pinocchio goes a step further beyond by introducing a transformation that feels even more disturbing. This time, human characters are turned into fish with distinctively human features and minds, a grotesque fusion of man and animal, unnervingly lifelike. One particular scene still lingers in my memory: a transformed character caught helplessly as Lorenzini prepares to eat him alive. The horror of their situation lies not only in their transformation itself, but in the chilling fact that they retain their human consciousness and identity while trapped in these unnatural bodies. And at the end of the second film, the character Lorenzini undergoes a grotesque transformation into a monstrous sea creature with his distorted, amphibian like features and exaggerated form. And to this day, I still find body horror extremely unnerving, probably due to the thought of lack of control and having an unnatural appearance. That gives me uncanny vibes, and I suppose media like this shown to me didn't help either. Weirdly enough, children's media is not shy of body horror. Sometimes a bizarre, surreal scenario can frighten kids in unexpected ways. One scene that particularly stands out is from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where the characters, both kids and adults, embark on a seemingly innocent boat ride through the chocolate river. However, once they enter a tunnel, the atmosphere quickly shifts from whimsical to dark and disturbing. Suddenly, flashing scenes appear on the tunnel walls, showing a mix of strange and grotesque images: a giant slimy snail crawling in close up, a creepy spider, a millipede walking slowly across a man's face, and even a chicken being gruesomely beheaded, these unsettling visuals are far from what you expect in children's film, and the randomness of the scene heightens the discomfort, making the sequence feel eerie and nightmarish. While this unsettling montage unfolds, Wonka begins to recite Roald Dahl's haunting poem, The Rowan Song. As he recites the poem, his volume rises until he's practically shouting, with his eyes wide and unblinking, adding a layer of manic energy that confuses and disturbs the kids and adults on the boat. Wonka's usual whimsical and playful demeanor dissolves, replaced by an unsettling unpredictability that leaves the characters and the audience unsure of what's real and what's not. The entire scene is a jarring contrast to the rest of the film, which is otherwise colourful, magical, and fantastical. Up until this point, the factory has been a place of wonder and amazement, but also strange and mysterious. The tunnel scene is a departure from this, plunging us into an eerie and chaotic world where the boundaries of safety and fun are suddenly questioned. This drastic tonal shift leaves the audience unsettled and amplifies the mystery surrounding Willy Wonka himself. Is he a harmless eccentric? Or is there something more sinister lurking beneath his cheerful exterior? Wonka's bizarre behaviour during this scene taps into a fear, the idea that things are not as they seem. His seemingly erratic behaviour and the unnerving visuals signal that the factory and Wonka himself may hold darker secrets, creating a sense of foreboding that sticks with audiences long after the movie ends. It's a masterful moment that combines surreal visuals, creepy music, and a rising tension to leave viewers, especially young ones, deeply unsettled. The Ren and Stimpy show remains one of the most peculiar examples of children's media, balancing grotesque humour and dark psychological themes. The show's odd couple dynamic between the dim-witted, cheerful cat Stimpy and the sadistic Chihuahua Ren is both unsettling and unique. Stimpy's naivety contrasts sharply with Ren's intelligence, warped by his sadism and jealousy. This dynamic between Ren and Stimpy is somewhat inappropriate for children's media, particularly when Ren's temper gets the best of him, showcasing to a child audience that domestic abuse is somehow funny, particularly in this scene.
First, I'm gonna tear your lips out. And then, I'm gonna gouge your eyes out.
Such moments highlight the show's adult undertones, often blurring the line between comedy and horror. Originally airing on Nickelodeon, Ren and Stimpy pushed boundaries with its surreal visuals and grotesque humour, creating a jarring mix of slapstick and psychological darkness that paved the way for later adult-orientated animated shows. And it wasn't just violence that deemed it inappropriate for children. Its grotesque humour and adult themes, as well as some really questionable parts of its show, such as this.
Hey, Ren, I like my job. How about you?
Makes me wonder, why was this made for children? And the series eventually inspired an adult reboot, Ren and Stimpy, adult party cartoon, though it failed to capture the original's nuanced blend of absurdity and darkness. Retrospectively, Ren and Stimpy seems more suited for an adult audience, combining juvenile humour with themes many children likely didn't grasp, but still felt unease from, with its horror-like elements. Thank you guys for watching my channel, and if you liked it, please subscribe, and I always like to hear your thoughts and opinions.